asked and answered the question like, how did you get the job? How did you start working with languages? And so on, so many times throughout my university years and after that. And well, that's no surprise because it's quite a worrisome topic for so many people, especially those who are getting their degree in linguistics or translation or something similar. Hi, my name is Sonia, and you probably came here after my video called I work with 44 languages and here's what I learned. I just wanted to say huge thank you for your support and for your comments, and I'd be more than grateful if you hit the subscribe and like button if you like my videos. Now, back to the topic. So, I had quite a lot of conversations on this matter, and while the questions were different, there were several common things that I took out of most of these conversations. The first thing that I noticed is that your future job is quite likely to align with what your expectations of a job are. So check your expectations. They might be limiting you from getting a wider range of options. And it's not about lowering your standards. It's rather about challenging common beliefs held in your family or in your closest circle. Because our perception of what a job is actually depends a lot on it. The basic example is when I went to the university, there were a lot of people around me who never ever thought they could work somewhere outside of the government because their parents worked for the government their whole lives and they never even imagined that they could get a job somewhere else. Another common misconception was that a job could only be counted as a job when it was a regular 9 to 5 with stable salary. However, actually, it can be a great thing to look outside of it. Sometimes you just don't know where you can find something that you like and that can be a good source of income at the same time. The second thing that I noticed is that the choice of jobs that are deeply focused on the language is quite limited. The most commonly suggested career path lies in interpreting and translation, and it's quite frustrating, especially with those developing AI tools that basically scream right in your face that you are doomed. But at the same time, I don't think you should be that worried about it, and I'm going to make a separate video on that later. Oh, and also people suggest teaching, but apart from that, there were not so many options. So translation was pretty much the only thing that people told me when I was looking for a part-time job, and it was sad to hear so many rejections from translation companies where I sent my resume because at that time I failed the test assignments that I was given because I wasn't thorough, I wasn't scrupulous enough. And honestly, I don't think I will ever be good enough to fit that type of job because my strong sides lie in a totally different dimension. I could have easily given up on language-related jobs at all, just because I didn't know there were any other options at that time. But, now I know there are definitely some. And I think the choice of jobs expands drastically if you understand the following thing. Language is not enough. The idea is simple, but so many people around me understood it differently than I did. Language is a tool to use, so it needs to serve something. What is important here is to define that something. I get it, you have a passion for learning languages or you're just very interested in one particular language. But think of your life outside of your language learning journey. What do you like? Because that's where so many people get lost and they get things wrong. They get stuck in the choice between the two following options. either to go fully into language dependent sphere like translation, interpreting, teaching maybe, proofreading, editing, you name it. Or they go into a completely unknown sphere just because they have the needed language in their resume. That's what seems to happen when you do understand that language is not enough, but at the same time, do not shift your focus to what might actually fill the void, to what can actually answer the question, what is enough then? I honestly made the same mistake when I landed a 2-month internship slash substitutional position for a regular employee job in a French logistics company. Like, I was 18 at that time and I had no idea what logistics even was before I went to the job interview. Luckily, I didn't have to stay there much longer, even though I liked the company and I liked the people that I worked with, and they were very patient and kind towards me. But just going into a sphere that doesn't resonate with you even a little bit isn't a good option. Sure, I was happy to be able to practice French a little, but I don't think the language could make up for the things that you don't like in the long run. A language shouldn't be the only skill to rely on, which is pretty basic advice, but I have never heard people tell me what to look for apart from the language. Okay, sometimes they did though, but it all came down to language plus the industry with a lot of money in it. But, you know, I can't even describe how frustrating it was to look for a job from that perspective. That is why I suggest you figure out the second big thing that you like. And there is a piece of good news. I hope you've noticed already that I pretty much always come to you with a piece of good news because I really wish someone did the same thing towards me. So, the piece of good news is that it can literally be anything. And also look into what your general strong points are. Like, are you good with numbers? Are you good at focusing on one thing? Do you have an ear for music? And now let's add all that data into one big cauldron and mix it. Here is what happens. Let me just give you a brief example. You like languages and also you like cinema. If you are good at focusing on one task at a time, if you are good with routine tasks, and you are probably looking for a part-time job instead of a full-time commitment, then maybe that's subtitling you are looking for. If you have an ear for music, if you understand well the peculiarities of certain ways of pronouncing words, if you can easily mimic accents, then it may be accent coach. If you are good at communicating with people, if you just have some advanced communication skills, if you are an extroverted person that genuinely likes talking to other people, then it may be PR and licensing, because these are the people who go to the conventions, to meetups, to establish some new contacts. And they have the access to different markets and therefore to different languages to interact with. Or if you feel like there is a big need within you to serve the community, then it can be audio or video description, because let's not forget, sign language is a language as well. And these are just some of the things that came to my mind pretty quickly, because there are so many other jobs within a certain sphere. And you can easily pick up a different sphere that you like and do the same thing. You get the ingredients, you mix the ingredients, and voila, here you go. Just to mention, this is how you come up with the idea, but at the same time, it's already a huge step because it defines your next steps, like what your language learning goal is, or what other skills you may need to learn, or who you should approach, and so on. And I have a bonus tip, which is a little bit weird, but hear me out. If you do not have a degree, and if you just consider getting a degree in a university or in any other type of educational institution that is available to you, and you are passionate about language learning, just ask yourself, Do you want to be an interpreter, a translator, or maybe a teacher? And if not, this is probably your sign to consider getting a degree in a different sphere. And you can define this sphere for yourself using pretty much the same pattern that I mentioned before. Because if you're a passionate language learner, chances are you're going to learn the language that you are interested in anyway. But going into language-oriented sphere when you are not sure about the choice of job afterwards, hoping just that by the time you graduate there are going to be more options, is actually a path that narrows down. And in order to get a different type of job, you will have to step out of this path. So when in doubt, I just suggest you keep the range of opportunities as wide as possible. Oh, and I also had a question, especially for those who are already working. How do you use languages in your work? Even if you don't work directly with languages, there is a high % chance that the knowledge of a certain foreign language has helped you somehow. So please share your stories in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video.